But first up, there's a piece of breaking news that's coming in now. China's Xi Jinping has slammed bullying behavior in world order at the summit, which has been attended by 20 world leaders, including Vladimir Putin and Prime Minister Modi. Xi Jinping has said, "We uphold justice and fairness and oppose hegemony and power politics." He has gone on to say that this is not about rivals, we are partners. That is the big message that is coming in from Xi Jinping with his equation with India. India and China sending that message that this is about looking for convergences, that this is about not looking at their equation from the third lens. The global situation, remember, remains volatile and turbulent. Xi Jinping saying that all SCO members are friends and partners and they are not rivals. Xi Jinping has called for the creation of an SCO development bank as soon as possible. I think that's going to be the big takeaway from this summit, one of the possible outcomes of this summit, where the host nation, that is China, has called for the creation of a development bank as soon as possible, along with a new center to address security challenges. The combined economies, remember, of the SCO countries are nearing $30 trillion, with the organization's global economic influence growing. So the big message, I would say, is going to be about multiple messaging which has emerged. Ambassador Anil Trigunayath is with us. Ambassador Trigunayath, would you say that the big takeaway this morning would be of these, power leaders having that conversation, of course, a bit of a laugh, but handshake?
Indeed, I think this is the RIC movement, you can call it, which a lot of people have been talking about, whether the three leaders can come together in a sort of a summit, even though it is the pull aside. But I think it is very significant, especially in the context of Prime Minister Modi's visit this time to China and the yesterday's bilateral that was very clear, cogent, succinct, and I would say very candid, in which the red lines of both sides were very clearly identified that we need to work together. And that was the thing. Vital partnership is what is important. As far as Russia is concerned, it has always been a time tested, a trusted partner. Russia's interest has always been that the differences between India and China should be minimized to a greater extent. And they have also worked towards that. And I think that it is an important meeting, and especially that Shanghai Cooperation Organization has to address the realities and challenges that are confronting today's world, which is highly turbulent. But at the same time, in my view, overall, while we will continue to see a lot of talks and changes that will take place, whether it's creation of alternate institutions like Shanghai Bank or like BRICS and others are eventually going to have some kind of overlapping in these organization and structures. What I think is most important is that the countries have to be extremely serious about one of the biggest challenges that faces India and the world, and that is terrorism. I mean, there can't be any duplicity, there can't be anything obfuscation of that. And that should come through, I hope, in the leader's statement. It comes out very clearly. And that would really put some of our concerns at rest. As far as bilateral relationship, I believe is now going to move on. We have $100 billion difference trade deficit with China, roughly about that, and we have our trade with USA for about 85%. So our $40 billion trade is going to be impacted by the Trump tariffs. And if China, Russia, and other countries start importing more from India, I think we'll be able to absorb the hit very quickly.
Would you say, Ambassador Trigunayath, that this messaging is about an alternative? That these three, power centers are now taking on the hegemony of the West. Will the West be seeing it this way? Will the Trump administration be reading it this way?
Well, let me tell you one thing that when Prime Minister Primakov of Russia had envisaged this RIC partnership, Russia, India, China, and I was in Russia at the time, and I think that at that time, India's perception was that we cannot be seen as a part of a bloc. So India is against the bloc culture. And therefore, I don't see that we are looking at it as something of an anti-West, but as India sees it, it is non-Western. But from the China and as Russia's perspective, you might say that this would be a display of their strength as two powerful countries. But India, combined with them as a country, would actually be. It could be an alternative in the sense that it is Asia is in any case becoming a strategic economic pivot. And of course, technologically, if we advance further, then obviously there would be some kind of a situation that the Western countries may not like very much. But at this moment, I don't see this emerging as a bloc. I would say it is a non-Western alternative.
Okay, so it's an alternative, not really a block here. That's an interesting distinction that you're making, sir. In terms of this rearrangement, I would say, or re-engagement which is happening between India and China, even as we wait for that bilateral to happen between Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin, what do you think will be the big signal which has come out of, Modi and Xi meeting?
I think that this meeting, its pretext was written in Kazan. And
Yes.
I think what since then we have seen so many meetings have taken place, and already institutional mechanisms have been established in order to address the border issues, border management that was also talked about. One of the key things that India also raised in this was balancing the trade with China. And the Chinese are open to it, and several I mean, we are receiving a lot of news that they're open to get this. And similarly, both sides have said that there should be a transparency and predictability in policies with regard to each other. So I think that that is a very important thing. Secondly, India has, of course, conveyed about the cross-border terrorism and the issues that we generally talk in the public domain about the how the terrorism, Pak-based terrorism, is to be handled. That would have been discussed. That's very important. Of course, China has tremendous influence over Pakistan, and it can rein in it if it wishes to so. So that would be one of the litmus tests for the Chinese behavior going forward. But I always believe all relationships are transactional and each country looks after its own interest first. But at the moment, both countries are thinking that this is a vital partnership which will be civilization, which is civilizational and can help both countries and the development of the people. And in the SCO also, we are going to see a decade, over a decade long sort of development strategy that the SCO countries are going to adopt. And this SCO plus that is happening, that means the SCO's expansion will also be discussed.